70% of Americans are either obese or overweight. And it's not because they got indolent or because we became lazy or because we suddenly developed giant appetites. It's because we're being given food that is low in nutrition and high in calories, and it's destroying our health.
If you've been following health news lately, you've probably heard about RFK Jr.'s push to clean up our food supply, targeting ingredients that many experts say have no business being in what we eat. Today, we're zooming in on 5 ingredients he's actively working to restrict or ban, with a special focus on how they impact your heart health. The question is one of these lurking in your pantry right now? We're going to look at the science, real studies, mechanisms, and why these matter for your arteries, inflammation, and long-term cardiovascular risk. Let's get into it. Number 1, high fructose corn syrup. This stuff is everywhere. Sodas, packaged snacks, breads, and even some yogurts that are marketed as healthy. He has pointed to the heavy use of subsidized ultra-processed foods packed with high fructose corn syrup, arguing that they are playing a major role in the rise of chronic diseases, including heart-related problems. Why is it so hard on your heart? It all comes down to how your body handles fructose. Unlike glucose, which is used by cells throughout your body for energy, fructose is processed mainly by your liver. When you consume too much of it, especially from foods and drinks made with high fructose corn syrup, your liver starts turning that extra fructose into fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. Over time, that can contribute to fatty liver disease, insulin resistance, high triglycerides, and high blood pressure, all of which are major risk factors for heart disease. And the research doesn't stop there. Multiple studies have linked high fructose intake with a greater risk of cardiovascular disease. Reviews published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition and other scientific journals suggest that excess fructose can increase visceral fat, the harmful fat that surrounds your organs, while also raising inflammation through markers like C-reactive protein, CRP, and uric acid. It can even damage the lining of your blood vessels, a problem known as endothelial dysfunction, which is considered one of the earliest steps in the development of atherosclerosis or clogged arteries. Population data shows countries with higher HFCS consumption often see rises in obesity and heart disease rates. Practical tip: scan labels. Even natural products sneak it in as corn syrup. Opt for whole foods or naturally sweetened options in moderation. Number 2, seed oils. You'll find them in just about everything that's fried, processed, or packaged: salad dressings, potato chips, fast food, frozen meals, and many restaurant dishes. They're made from crops like soybeans, corn, sunflower, and canola. Critics, including RFK Jr., have raised concerns about their high omega-6 content and the way many of these oils are heavily refined and used in ultra-processed foods. So what's the concern? Seed oils are rich in linoleic acid, an essential omega-6 fat. Your body does need some omega-6, but many researchers argue that modern diets provide far more than our ancestors consumed, largely because these oils are everywhere in processed foods. When linoleic acid is exposed to heat, light, or oxygen, it can form oxidized byproducts. Some laboratory and observational studies suggest these compounds may contribute to oxidative stress, inflammation, and damage to the lining of blood vessels, changes that can play a role in the early stages of heart disease. Another concern is how these oils are often used. Repeated high-heat frying, especially in commercial kitchens, can produce harmful oxidation products such as aldehydes. Those compounds may increase oxidative stress and make LDL cholesterol more likely to become oxidized, which is considered more damaging to artery walls than LDL alone. That said, it's important to know the science isn't one-sided. Many large human studies have found that replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated fats from seed oils can actually lower LDL cholesterol and reduce cardiovascular risk. Many nutrition experts believe the bigger problem is ultra-processed foods and repeatedly heated frying oils, not moderate amounts of fresh seed oils used as part of an otherwise healthy diet. The practical takeaway? Instead of relying on deep-fried and heavily processed foods, cook more often at home. For lower heat cooking and dressings, extra virgin olive oil is a great choice. Avocado oil is another good option for higher heat cooking because it's relatively stable. The biggest win for your heart isn't avoiding one ingredient. It's cutting back on ultra-processed foods and choosing whole, minimally processed meals most of the time. Number 3, brominated vegetable oil, or BVO. This ingredient has been used in some citrus-flavored sodas and sports drinks to keep the flavor from separating. It's made by attaching bromine to vegetable oil. Yes, the same chemical element that's also used in some flame retardants, although it's not the same substance as the flame retardants themselves. It's been a controversial food additive for years. RFK Jr. has often pointed out that it was allowed in some U.S. foods, while many other countries, including those in the European Union, Japan, and India, had already banned it. So why were experts concerned? Research showed that bromine from BVO can build up in the body over time. Animal studies found that high exposure affected the thyroid, an organ that helps regulate your metabolism, heart rate, and blood pressure. Since thyroid problems can increase the risk of high cholesterol, hypertension, and other cardiovascular issues, scientists began taking a much closer look. While there's still limited direct evidence linking BVO to heart disease in humans, the potential for bromine accumulation and thyroid effects was enough to raise significant safety concerns. Those concerns eventually led to action. In 2024, the USF officially revoked its approval of BVO as a food additive, concluding that new research no longer supported its safety. Manufacturers were given time to reformulate their products, and many major beverage companies had already removed BVO years earlier. If you're trying to reduce your exposure to unnecessary food additives, check the ingredient list on citrus sodas and flavored drinks. Better yet, reach for sparkling water with a squeeze of real lemon or lime, or choose beverages made with simple, recognizable ingredients. Number 4, potassium bromate, used in some breads, rolls, and baked goods to strengthen dough and make it fluffier. It's a possible human carcinogen and is banned in many countries, including the EU, China, and others. RFK has pushed for its removal, especially from school lunches and children's foods. Heart connection. While primarily flagged for DNA damage and cancer risk, oxidative stress from bromate can contribute to systemic inflammation that harms vascular health. Chronic exposure to pro-oxidant chemicals adds to the cumulative burden on your endothelium and heart. Studies show it induces reactive oxygen species, ROS, in cells, a pathway linked to atherosclerosis. Look for bromated flour on labels and choose unbromated or artisan breads. Number 5, synthetic food dyes and related additives like titanium dioxide. RFK has targeted these for removal due to links with hyperactivity in kids and broader toxicity concerns. Titanium dioxide, used for whiteness/opacity, was banned in France over DNA damage and potential brain penetration. Heart relevance: many dyes are petroleum-derived and trigger oxidative stress or hypersensitivity reactions that increase inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation is a core driver of heart disease. Titanium dioxide nanoparticles can enter circulation and promote endothelial activation in lab studies. While direct long-term heart trials are limited, reducing unnecessary chemical exposures aligns with lowering overall inflammatory load. The Delaney Clause historically restricted carcinogens, but loopholes have allowed many back in. Choose naturally colored foods or those with beet, turmeric, or spirulina-based colors. When people hear RFK talk about fixing America's food system, it's easy to assume he wants to ban everything overnight. But that's not really the core of his message. Its focus has been on changing the system that encourages ultra-processed foods and on tightening food safety oversight, especially the GRAS, generally recognized as safe, loophole that allows many food additives to enter the market without independent FDA review. Diets built around real, minimally processed foods like vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, olive oil, fish, and whole grains like the Mediterranean diet consistently lower the risk of heart disease. Studies also show that reducing ultra-processed foods can improve weight, blood pressure, blood sugar, and inflammation. Heart disease is still the leading cause of death, but many risks are modifiable through diet. Cleaning up these ingredients is one step toward better health for everyone. What's in your pantry? Share below. Let's discuss. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more evidence-based health content. Thanks for watching.